shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. The black story around the world is one written in chains as in slavery, oppression, and colonization. And it doesn't matter whether you look at the Americas, the Caribbeans, Europe, or even off of the coast of Africa. And directly off of the coast of Africa, this system was perfected. The island of Sao Tome, the forgotten history of the black Jews. Shalom and peace to the listeners. I'm your host, Noah Israel. And like we mentioned before, today we're going to be taking a quick look at the history of the island of Sao Tome, otherwise known as St. Thomas, right? So let's open up with a quick article. Let's check this out. All right, so the article that we're going to be looking at is entitled Unearthing the Origins of Plantation Slavery on Sao Tome. The African island nation played a central but little known role in the rise of global sugar trade based on enslaved labor. To uncover this past, a team launched the country's first archaeological research by M. Doris Cruz and Larissa Thomas, March 19, 2024. So the article opens up and it begins to explain their story and how they uncovered the history of the island. So it says the forest shrouded estate on an island 300 kilometers west of mainland Africa in 2020. Our small team began down a barely visible path flanked by shoulder-high shimmering capum grass. Soon, the tropical forest thickened. Lush felt like an understatement. There are stories of old man staffs taking root and sprouting while their owners chatted. And we were headed to rumored ruins of an engine and Portuguese word for sugar mill. On the African island nation of Sao Tome and Principe, we followed Inslee Encarnacio, the only person from the village who said he knew the place and could take us there no problem. In choking humidity, Inslee forged ahead, carving away with his machete. We did not travel far, but it took time to hack through the tall grass. About 20 minutes later, we reached our destination, Praia Malau, the island's largest mill and estate from the 16th to 19th centuries. We found the two-story edifice cloaked by shadows of towering teak trees and snarled in ferns, palms, and woody liona tree vines. No wonder the sites were hardly known in the surrounding village that bears the same name, Praia Malau. Vegetation shrouded the building, and those who were aware considered it a place best avoided, a gathering ground for ghosts. Many people died there. Their spirits did not rest in peace. The Praia Malau engine and estate is the first archaeological site identified in Sao Tome since 2020. One of us, Cruz, has led a group of international and Santomene scholars to investigate the local, in the process introducing archaeology to a country that has not hosted this kind of work before. Our research at Praia Malau is of global importance as it explores the origins of plantation slavery in the 16th century. Sao Tome became the first plantation economy in the tropics based on sugar monoculture and enslaved labor, a model exported to the Americas, where it developed and expanded. Sao Tome's role in this devastating and transformational history is largely unknown. Some people have never heard of the tiny nation. Our team aims to illuminate the island's central and brutal place in world history. So before we move on, I want to stop right there and I want to look at what we just read through a biblical lens. So let's go into the Bible real quick. All right, so let's look at Luke chapter 8, verse 17. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. So as we see, The history of Sao Tome was so well hidden that a team of archaeologists had to go through thick forests just to uncover it. Finding out about many dead slaves on these sugar plantations, how the model of slavery in Sao Tome was used and perfected across the whole globe, even to the Americas. So when we look back at the article, let's look back and let's find out more identity about who these slaves were. All right, so we back in the article. We're going to start at the title, Enslaved Sugar Makers. Sao Tome's early history was closely linked to Alima Castle in today's Ghana, the first European trading post built in the Gulf of Guinea. Then Sao Tome functioned as an import-export stop for European trade of African gold and enslaved people. By the 1530s, Sao Tome emerged as a profitable node in the Portuguese colonial empire, with sugar plantations ringing most of the island's coastline and its sugar dominating European markets. Historical documents and maps from the late 16th and early 17th century mention Para Malawa, depicting it as the island's largest estate. Many enslaved mainland Africans and perhaps some Portuguese convicts labored on the plantation. So we read a lot in that article just now. But what that article failed to mention was the identity of those Portuguese convicts. And we're going to look at that. But before we get into that, let's take a look into the Bible and see if what we just read is in the Bible, right? Deuteronomy 28 verse 16. Watch this. It says, "Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field." What field? What are these people cursed in? Sugarcane plantations, sugarcane fields. Many of the backs and all the works of the enslaved people of the island of Sao Tome or St. Thomas, they didn't profit from it. And is that in the Bible? Yes, it is. Verse 33 tells us, "The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt only be oppressed and crushed always." What are we reading? All the millions, trillions, billions of dollars that were made off of the backs of these slaves, they never profited. This model and this process was done across the whole globe to what the world calls the African diaspora. But what we're finding out is the people of Sao Tome, they can be linked back to the Bible. Watch. When you read verse 46, it tells us, "And they shall be upon thee." What is the they? The curses. Being cursed in those sugarcane plantations, being cursed in those fields, that is the they, the curse. It says, "And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever." What we found out is that slavery lasted for centuries. That model of slavery was exported to the whole globe. For the African slaves, the African diaspora, they were slaves and take advantage of across the whole globe. These were signs showing us that these were the people of God. And that we see this, I want to go back to the article and we got to identify who these Portuguese convicts were. That plays a very pivotal role. So let's look not back at the article, but we're going to look at a book. We're going to look at this book and we're going to find out who they are. All right. So the book that we're going to be looking into is called The History of the Jews in Spain and Portugal. If you look at the bottom of the book, it says Forgotten Books. Interesting. All right. Now we're going to look at page 322. "But John, though favorable to the Jews of Portugal, was not so to the unfortunate Spanish exiles. Probably the great influx was the cause of his exacting the performance of the agreement under which they had been permitted to enter Portugal. Many of the Spanish Jews were exiled out of Spain and were seeking refuge in Portugal." That's what we're reading about. "Although the king had ordered that they should be charged moderately for their passage and freights where into Portugal, the captains and masters of vessels made them pay higher prices than they had agreed for, besides ill-treating them and taking advantage of their forlorn condition, as they had no means of obtaining redress." Meaning what? They were able to extort and take advantage of them because they had no means of justice. Nobody was going to stand up and bring forth justice for these Spanish Jews. They had prolonged the voyages for the purpose of selling provisions and water to them at any price they chose to exact, more extortion. They insulted them in the most brutal manner and even ravished their wives and daughters, so that in quitting Spain, the miseries of the unfortunate exiles had not yet terminated. So even before they made it to their destination, they had to go through all these things. The extortion, their wives and daughters were ravished, taken advantage of. They slept with these men's daughters. I want to look at the Bible and show you where we read this at. When you read Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 30, it says, "Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her." Another man will lie with your wife. That's a curse that God put upon the Jews. And that's what we read in this Bible, or in this book, excuse me. That's what we read in this book. Also, we're going to take a look at, it said daughters too. So we're going to take a look at the book of Joel, chapter 3. And we're going to read verse 3. It says, "And they shall cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl," that's the daughter, "for wine, that they might drink." Why would they sell these girls? So they could sleep with them, so that they could sleep and ravish the girls, just like they did the wives. These were the atrocities that the Jews from Spain had to go through as they went into Portugal. Now I want to look back at something. Let's look at the next paragraph. It's going to explain where their ending destination will be. "The Castilian Jews, who from poverty of any other cause had not departed at the limited time, the king ordered should be taken for slaves." They were taken as slaves. Let's read. "According to the terms of their entrance, and distributed them to whoever asked for them. His inhumanity did not cease here. He tore their young children from them and had them baptized, being at the time desirous of populating his newly discovered acquisition of the coast of Africa, the island of St. Thomas. He sent them to it with the new governor, Alvaro de Camina, so that being separated from their parents and marrying people in the island, they might become good Christians." We just read a lot right there. We read about slavery. We read about kidnapping. We read about assimilation. We read about all these things right here, right? Let's read it in the Bible. When you read Deuteronomy 28, verse 32, remember, it said he took the young kids away from their parents. "Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand." That's when the book said they received no redress. What was going on with them? Nobody helped them. Their children was taken away from them. Nobody came to come help them. Their children were taken away from them to become slaves. And where did they end up? In the island of St. Thomas. Those people, those convicts from Portugal, were Jew slaves from Spain. Watch. When you read in Deuteronomy 28, we're going to read the next chapter, next page, verse 64. "And the Lord shall scatter them among all people from one end of the earth," that's Spain and Portugal, it says, "even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy father have known, even wood and stone." That's the good Christians that they end up becoming as they were slaves. So we just found out the identity of those Portuguese convicts that was taken to Sao Tome to be slaves. They were Jews. They were Jews. We finding out this is the history that's in the Bible that's been hidden for so long that the archaeologists had to go through forests to find out. Many people did not know this history, but we finding out today. And we're going to find out more history as we continue. So I encourage everybody to stay tuned for the next video. Continue to find out the true hidden history.
Across the earth, the prophets move. From city streets to distant lands, the message is the same. Israel must rise. Through every quest, every journey, the truth spreads. No border can contain it. No distance can silence it. Our nation lives in every moment. In joy, we celebrate marriages. In sorrow, we honor our dead. On the Sabbath, we gather as one. Families rejoicing together, bound by the commandments of God. Yet are we tried. From the stones in Kenya to the hatred in Montana, we endure as a soldier of the Lord. And still, the mission expands. On the airwaves, on the screens, in every nation under heaven, Israel's voice is heard. We build our communities. We raise our children in royalty. We restore what was broken. We clean what was defiled. We show the world who we are. This is Israel united in Christ. Nation in motion. Nation endures.